Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and this is day 3 of our journey in cybersecurity. So in the last class we talked about how to set up a simple network in Cisco Packet Tracer, a simple wired network in Cisco Packet Tracer. We use the routers, we use the end devices, intermediary devices, and so on and so forth. We also use the connections, the cables, and so forth. But in this class, we'll be talking about how to set a wireless connection. Since we've already set a wired connection in the last class, in this tutorial I'm going to be teaching you how to set a wireless connection. If you can see my screen, and this is a wireless connection. So you have the access points, you have intermediary device, and you have end devices, the PC, the laptop, and the smartphone. And on the left here is the server, but we're not going to be talking about the server today or in this video, because I want to make sure this video isn't as long as the previous one. It's just very simple, because this is quite the simplest, maybe quite tricky, but it's still the simplest project. I'm sure some of you are wondering, especially my colleagues, but this is actually the simplest of all projects, which is the wireless connection. So next class, which will be on day 4, we'll be treating about this. We'll be treating this server, what is even doing here in the first place. Yeah, so let's just get right into that. So we're going to be creating a new project to create our simple wireless connection. We're going to be creating a new project. So you just go to File, and you just go to New, and you just click on Yes, and we have a blank new project. So first of all, what's the first thing that we have to deal with? What's the first thing? So the first thing now is to pick our end devices, or the first intermediary device itself. So we need to start adding our devices. That's the step 1. So first of all, let's drag and drop our access point on PC, laptop, and smartphone. So we go to these are end devices. We go to network device, and we can see our wireless device here. So we'll go to network devices, then you can see as many here, the router, switch, and all that. So we just go to wireless device, and we look for our access point devices. So you can see as many versions here, but I like to pick the first one, which is the APPT. So I drag that here. So now let's go to end devices. Scroll through, we have our PC, and we have our laptop, and we have, next one is, let's use a smartphone. So we have our smartphone, trying to make it like a triangle, something like that. So now we've already added our devices. So if you notice that our smartphones connect automatically. So what's the next step? Step 2 now is to set up the access point device. I might be a little bit fast in this video, but you're gonna understand every bit of the way. So now let's try setting up our access point device. So how do we set up our access point device? So you click on device, check the physical tab, and check the power status. That is for the step 2A. So for step 2, we've clicked on what? Click on the device, and now we are back at the physical tab. So now if you look at this hardware slots and all that, you see some things and all that. Now if you look at this place, you see that there is a green light here, and that means that the access point is on. You don't need to turn it off. So we've already checked that. And for step 2B, we need to configure our access point device. For step 2B, or sub step 2. So whichever naming you would prefer. So how do we do that? We go to the config tab, then we click on port 1, then we edit the SSID name to remember. So then under authentication, we select the WPA2 PSK, we edit the passphrase or password, and we close the tab. What does all this mean? So I'm going to show you step by step. So now we'll go to the config tab. We will have the config tab, then we click on port 1. So here we're going to be seeing a bunch of terms and all that. So first of all, is the first thing we have to notice on port 1 is the port status. We have to make sure it's on. Then SSID. What is the SSID? The SSID itself is the service set identifier, publicly broadcast name for wireless network. So when you look on your phone and you're seeing all those names, maybe Hyper1, Home Wi-Fi, do not connect, all those things on Wi-Fi list, it is the SSID that makes sure of that. And here it's default. So this is what we want to connect to. So let's say you're trying to connect to an hotspot. So this is the name itself, because AccessPoint grants wireless access. So let's just make it Hyper. Let's call it Hyper. So let's say, for instance, for those of you in Nigeria, maybe you have Ola One Network, Benu Yodis, or Emeka Don't Connect, or I Hack You. Those names are provided on those names on the wireless network are provided by the SSID. So the service set identifier, So I don't want to waste too much time on that. Now we're down to, you leave all this default. Now we'll go down to authentication. So the next thing on our authentication is it is actually disabled by default. So we have to click on WPA2. Why WPA2 and not WPA1? Because this is the older one and this is the latest one. And this on WPA2 is more secure. It is more secure. So that is that on that. So what does it even mean? It means Wi-Fi protected access. And the PSK means passkey phrase. So you understand, our password key phrase, whichever way you like. So this means that we have to set a password once you've selected it. So let's just write something 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. So I should just make that as fast as possible. And remember, you have to remember this password, and you also have to remember the network that you're connecting to. So that is that on that. We've already connected that. So the next step, some of you might even ask me, what is port 1? What is port 1? This one is an internal label. We don't need it. For external connection, you need the port 1. For port 0, rather, port 0 is an internal label. You don't need it. It's like a radio interface that manages all wireless connection. So it's the airwaves that your laptop connects to itself. So when you're setting all this, when you're setting the name and you're setting your password, what we are doing is we are actually configuring the port O. We are labeling the port O. Then to connect to this to the device itself, you have to what? It has to be the port 1. So basically, so that is that on that. So this is the wireless interface, and the port 1 is the wired interface. So that is that on that. So what is our next step? So we just click out of here. So you can go back to confirm that. You click on port 1 again. Remember, you can decide to change your name if you want, but we don't need that. So click on what? So you check your name, you check your password. I'm trying to rush this video so it doesn't take too much time. So that is that on that. So now let's try to connect our PC. Remember, you need to remember your names and everything. So first of all, we go to the words. How do you connect your PC? Now this is the tricky part that I told you about. First of all, if you look at it, you have to turn it off. When you click on PC, try to turn it off. First before you connect anything, because before you connect something, even in the real life scenario, you have to turn your device off before you connect any other thing. For those of you who were around during the time when we're dealing with wired connections and computers and desktop PCs, CPUs or system units, as you can see, and all that. So we turn this off. So now there's a default mode, there's a default connection here or cable here, so we have to remove that. After you turn it off, you remove that, and then you just look at this under the module list. You see this WMP300. That is what is recommended for our connection. So you drag that back to this place, then you turn it on. So that is that on that step. That is that on that step. So the next one is to, now for the step 3B, remember this is step 3 for the PC configuration, and for the step 3B, so we need to like set our IP address. So we go back to desktop and we go back to configuration, and we have to choose static. We all know this one, so we have to, let's pick something private under private network, and this is under class C range. The 192.168 is under class C range. So remember, this is like, remember all our IP addresses have to be on the same range. If you look at this, this is like a street name, and the last digit itself is are the numbers on the street. And for you to be able to connect to someone easily, you know, imagine if you're in the same street and you're in the same street and your houses are very, very close. There will be very, very easy connection. I can call you through your window and all that. So the first 3 digits are like the street itself, and the last digits make up the street numbers. So that's that on that. So subnet gets added automatically. We don't need default gateway because we're not using router in our connection yet. Maybe in the 5th video or 6th video, I do not know, but we don't need the default gateway because we're not using the router. So when you're done with that, click on X. So that is that on that. So now we need to connect to our access point. We need to be able to connect to our access point. We need to be able to connect to our access point. So now we click on the PC, we click on configure, and we try to, remember the name is wireless 0. So that's where we're gonna be able to connect to our what. Remember what I told you is like the access point is like connecting to a network or to a Wi-Fi itself. So what is the SSID? Remember, you have to remember it. So this is IPA, and what is our authentication, which is WAP82, and what is our password? Remember, you have to use something secure, but right now I'm just using something easy so you can remember. And you have to look out for your status port. That's to be on and all that. So we're done with step 3B, step 3C rather, because step 3B was about IP address setting, and we're done with step 3C itself. Remember, WPA means what? Wi-Fi protected access. So this one is less secure compared to this one, which is more secure. So that is that on that. So we've already connected that. So we've already connected that. And if you go back, you can see all this. Now let's go back to our laptop. We're doing the same thing. We have to turn this off. Look at this button here. Turn it off. See that there's nothing here compared to it now, so you have to turn it off. Now you have to remove whatever that is here and drag it back to this. And remember, WPC is the recommended, so we'll look for it. It's at the top. We'll drag it back here, then we'll put it on. So that is that on that. So what is our next step? On this? So we have to set our IP address. So we know how to do that. We've already done that in our previous video. So remember, they have to be in the same range. So 192.168.0.2. The first one was 1. So let this be 2 and all that. So that is that on that. Now we need to configure this in the sense that we need to connect it to our access point. So you can click back or you can just go straight to config. So you click on wireless 0. So remember your name. The name of our Wi-Fi itself, our access point is Hyper. We choose this and done all that. And all that. Remember that your status, your port status has to be on, and your IP address shows here and all that. So when you click on that, you see that it's connected. So you do the same for the smartphone. Smartphone is on. You don't need to turn this on off because you're not connecting any module. All modules are connected to your smartphone. You don't need any wire or anything. So we try to set up our IP address. So static is better. So 192.168.0.3. So subnet gets added automatically. We do not need the default gateway at the moment. So that is that on that. Now we need to also connect our smartphone to our access point. So we'll go to configure, click on wireless, which is the name of our so then we have IPA, and this, remember, your status has to be on. Then we'll click on the pass. So that is that on that. I think we're waiting for our connection now. Okay, the smartphone is all connected. The smartphone is all connected. The smartphone is all connected. Now you might want to do this additional step, which is testing your connection. How do you do that? You go back to desktop, then you go back to PC wireless to know if you're really connected. But now it has actually shown that you successfully connected to the access point. So your PC is connected to the access point successfully. If it's not connected, you go back to connect and you write your password, the IP name, and you connect and all that. The iPad, then you write your password and connect. I'm trying to make this video, forgive me, I'm trying to make this video as very fast so you can manage your data, or your data rather, when watching the video. So you go back to this place, you see that you successfully connected, laptop successfully connected, and you go back to your smartphone, your desktop, and but you do not need anything to connect because smartphone connects automatically. But how do you even test that your smartphone or other devices are even connected itself? Now we have to use what we call the ping, and that is for the step 7 itself, because the step 5 was for the smartphone, and for the step 7 we have to use the ping or the simple PDU connectivity. That's how we can test our connection. First of all, we are on the smartphone, right? So we can decide to start from the PC. So while we are here, let's just start from the smartphone, just like we used to do for pinging desktop. Then you go to command prompt. They will try to ping the IP address. So 192.168.0.3. So remember, as long as you're getting those replies, that means that your connection is fine. As long as you're getting all those replies. So we've already pinged our smartphone to test that. Let's go back to PC. Then you go back to command prompt and press enter key so that you can show like this. So we have ping 192.168.0.1. So as long as you're getting those replies, that tells you that your connection is okay. Remember, this is the first test in our tutorial, which is something you know about, the pinging. So let's do the same for laptop, and command prompt, press enter key so it can show. You can be behind the C or in front of the C rather, 168.0.2. So okay, there's no ping before that, too much rushing. So ping 192.168.0.2. So as long as you're getting all those replies, that tells you that your connection is successful. Now, in our next test, we're going to be testing using the simple PDU. And what is the PDU? The protocol data unit. It's like an envelope bar or icon itself. So it's going to be showing here. It's going to be showing here the status, the source, the destination, and all that. So how do we test using the simple PDU? Apologies again if I'm rushing. So we go back to this place and we see the simple PDU here. Then you click on it. So we're going to be sending a message using the PDU from one device to another and test how our message and the status of our message, whether it's successful or not. If it's not successful or not, then we debug. So first of all, you click on your first device, just click on it once. Let's try to send to laptop. You've already clicked on this, and you send to what? Laptop. Now we'll come down here, and now you're seeing last status is successful, source PC, destination laptop. Are you seeing that? That means that our connection, apart from the pinging, simple PDU tells us that our connection was actually correct. So let's try to do that again from PC to smartphone. Now you see what? From PC to smartphone, it is successful. And if you try to do from smartphone to PC, from smartphone to PC is also successful. So that is that on today's tutorial. It is as easy as that. It is as easy as that. So in our next tutorial, which is on day 4, we're going to be talking about how to connect your server. And under the server, we're going to be connecting to our server and trying to load a page on the server, probably edit the page, whichever name you like. So I'm going to be checking my commenters, or those of you that are commenting. So I'm going to be using the first person on this video, the first commenter on this video. I'm going to be testing with your name, so it's going to be on the next video. Do you understand? So this is day 3. So the first commenter, or the commenter with the most likes itself, or the first commenter, your name is going to be on my video. I'm going to be testing with your name and all that. So whatever your name is, whatever your details are, I'm going to be using it on our server page. So that is all for that. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to boost my channel. Thank you all.